Welcome back to Western Kabuki. Thank you so much again to all of our new listeners who want to hear what we had to say about the Krasensteins to their faces, or to at least one of their face. Good times over there. Thank you to all the very kind people that DM'd each of us individually to tell us the good shots we got in on them. It's been personally gratifying, so we appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna hop right in it today. Everybody's been asking about it. They're like, when are you going to get that redheaded one-hit wonder guy on? And we're like, bro, he's coming right on. So the Richmond, north of Richmond himself, Max from Eve6. How you doing, Max?
It's such a pleasure to be here with y'all. And I just want to say diversity is our
he was
strength
faking the accent too.
Right. Yeah. Man, no, it's great to be here. It's great to be here with you guys. I really enjoyed the last one that we did together, and it's nice to finally meet Juniper, who's been a mutual that I've appreciated for a while now. So this is great.
It's interesting because you did a guest appearance when it was like still the movie, the Nicolas Cage podcast. Yeah. So that
Max
was like
came on for a Nick Cage episode. I think that back then maybe like 200 people would hear our show, and now things have changed.
I didn't even know that this was a Nick Cage show until after I started working on it. I was like,
every podcast has its growing pains. It has its early days.
Didn't know I made that scary picture myself. She thought she was afraid of hurting a fan's feelings about it.
Yeah, because I always thought it was very scary. And then when we got the new one, our current logo, I think Whack, you just offhand mentioned like, oh yeah, I can retire this now. And I was like, oh shit, okay, you made this. Okay, damn.
Yeah, I did. That's why it was scary. I wanted it to be scary.
It was very
but yeah,
scary.
We got Max on because Max, you currently have a Patreon. You want to tell the good people a little bit about what you got going on over on Patreon?
Yeah. After the whole Twitter thing happened for us a couple years ago, this guy reached out about wanting to like do a book, and I was like, and that sounds like it could be interesting. And I ended up like saying yes and like signing a book deal and stuff, and then realizing that I had no interest in writing like a rock bio. Our band's story isn't really a rock bio story. It's it's just something. It's something else. I think what's entertaining about it is when I can put kind of a magnifying glass on the marginal and sort of look at that closely. I think it can be interesting and entertaining. But that's not like rock bio fodder. And so I returned the advance, which I had given to a couple of co-writers. And so I another brilliant business move from the guy from Eve6. I lost
making
some money
deals
there
every day.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd make Donald Trump proud. Yeah.
I sure would. And then it was actually when our Twitter account got banned for pretending to be Radiohead on April Fool's Day, and I was like, man, I've been spending all this time doing these like stupid tweets and stuff, and I feel like I have some stories to tell that I think people might find kind of diverting, and I just started like writing them, and they kind of appeared in this short form, and so I've been doing that now for I guess like three or 4 months. I'm just writing an essay a week, and Luke O'Neill, who is a writer that I've been a fan of for a really long time.
Yeah, I know Luke. Good guy.
You guys know Luke probably, yeah. Welcome to Hell World, and he's also written a bunch of his own like short stories and fiction and stuff. It's great. He's editing it for me, which is a huge help because he's basically like he's been kind of giving me writing lessons because before doing this I'd never really written anything outside of like a 3-minute pop song or whatever. So he's kind of teaching me the form and what makes the thing work and all of that stuff. So that's been cool. And yeah, I guess I'm kind of banging on here, but like it's basically a look at the, joys, mountaintop moments, comedies, indignities of marginal rock stardom and its aftermath. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Nice. Very cool. So
Yeah.
So with the Patreon that you're doing now, are you viewing this as like a sort of erstwhile book, like it would have been a book if you felt like you had a book in you type of thing?
I could see myself maybe publishing it as an essay collection at some point. When I have like a bunch of them, the other thing we're doing on the Patreon is releasing a song a month exclusively to the Patreon, not putting anything on the streaming platforms or anything. So, it's been really cool. I mean, it's a new thing, but we're, when we set out to do it, we were like, because we've talked to some other bands who have done this thing before, and a lot of them sort of gripe about it, saying like it's a lot of work and you end up doing a lot of stuff you don't want to do. And I was like, okay, well, what are things that we want to do? Make rock, and I enjoy writing. So if we can make it about that, then that'll be all right. And that's what we're doing. And it's been, it feels worthwhile. I enjoy doing the quote unquote work.
Yeah, no, I've noticed like a lot of bands in recent years, especially when like COVID hit, when shows stopped being like a thing that people and bands could do. Like a lot of bands would turn to like Patreon and do this like exclusive, like sort of like fan funded type of stuff. Because from what I understand, like streaming services don't pay you like shit for the amount of streams you get. It's like
you
it's
got
like
into a big fight with Spotify about that. I think I remember you kind of beefing with them a couple years ago. That was pretty funny.
Shit, I must have missed that. What was that about? Because they pay like notoriously bad, right? It's like a million plays is like $1,000, something horrible.
It's really quite insane. And also, I mean, in today's like world, I guess totally expected. But I mean, they pay 0.003 cents per stream. So whatever that is, I mean, tiny fraction of a cent per stream. And then for a band like us, who, the lion's share of our catalog, certainly the song that people are streaming orders of magnitude more than all the other ones, is owned by Sony Records, which also is a part owner of Spotify. So
so they're paying themselves before you.
And Spotify pays to the master owner. This was like sort of part of their little backroom dealings with the record labels before they launched, that made the label say, okay, we're okay with this. Is the master owner makes, the person who owns the recording or entity that owns the recording makes most of the money from the streams. So in our case, that 0.003 is largely going back to Sony, who's a part owner of Spotify. So the money that we're seeing from, we still average like 1.5 million streams a month, which is insane. It sounds like a lot, sounds like it would be something, but we make like barely anything for that. I think it's something like, what actually goes into our pockets is something like $600 that then gets split 3 ways, probably a little bit less because there's like producer points and stuff like that. So already with the Patreon, we're like making, I don't know, 4 or 5 times more than we are from 1.5 million Spotify streams, a month.
That's bananas. I mean, that's horrible. Criminal is what it is.
Yeah, like all these streaming services are just, best way to put it is criminal.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's a similar thing that's going on with the Hollywood thing, and it's it's
you're talking about like the strikes right now, like the residuals.
Yeah, exactly. The difference is like musicians are notoriously bad at like advocating for themselves and organizing and all of that, so I'm not super hopeful about
well, it's a very different sort of environment. Like you know, if like an analogous thing would be like taxi drivers versus Uber drivers, where like the writers and the actors, they work together and they work with other writers and actors and stuff like all the time, in a way that, like, you know, taxi drivers have a union and they are working together through a dispatcher, but the Uber drivers don't have the same outlet to organize. And so, yeah, I mean, there is of course a sort of stereotype about people who play music professionally, that they're unreliable or whatever. But I think there's also a element of, you're just so much more atomized, especially when you're on tour.
No,
you're
it's
just
true.
with your own band or by yourself or with one other band, and it's not like a ripe field for organization, which is also true in stand-up comedy. And I know you guys toured with Jake Flores, and it's kind of, you know, same deal with stand-up comics. They don't have a union, but actors do.
Right. And stand-up comics are getting screwed in the same ways as musicians by Spotify. Yeah, no, definitely all true. I think some of the stereotypes about musicians are apt also, because it's like, I don't know, we've been conditioned by these same people to sort of be in competition with one another, to value this notion of exposure that is so dubious as, you know, a form of payment or whatever. It's like, you know, if our song can get on the right playlist and, you know, maybe we'll get famous, thing, which makes people all too comfortable, you know, just having that thought. It's like the temporarily embarrassed millionaire thing. You know, if there's a chance that we can become rich and famous, you know, we're not going to complain about getting paid a pittance or not getting paid at all or whatever.
So are you much of a like rock biography guy? Have you read any of those, even the more famous ones like Keith Richards or anybody?
No, I've never liked those. I should say I've never been curious about them. You know, I've never been I've never really read nonfiction at all. I'm like a fiction reader. And so yeah, I hope that that's an asset for what I'm doing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I have actually read a few of those books, and I went to Keith Richards first because I think his book is probably the perfect rock biography, because it's like 1,000 pages and he covers like every single thing. He has like 300 pages on his relationship with Mick Jagger, 300 pages about how he prefers to play from 5th position to 1st position. Like, he just talks about everything.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's what I like about that. Also, the audiobook is amazing because the first section is narrated by Johnny Depp, and then the next section is narrated by Keith Richards, and then there's another reader who does like the other. So it's got like 5 readers in it, and 2 of them are Johnny Depp and Keith Richards himself. So highly recommend that.
That's really funny. And I mean, for a bunch of reasons, but one of them is that like Johnny Depp's whole like affect is Keith Richards. It's like he's, you know, he is kind of really trying to be him.
Yeah, there's like there's a genre of cultural character, like when Keith Richards played Jack Sparrow's dad, or when Michael Caine played Austin Powers' dad. That is a genre of thing we see sometimes, where these guys become another guy and then they're just like chill with that guy. I think that's a pretty cool path to take when you turn like 40. Just start being another guy and make
It's like an adoption service, right? Yeah, you like adopt them.
Totally. It's like they, you know, actors get to sort of try out guys to be, and then one of them, for whatever reason, has an indelible quality, and then for the rest of their lives, they're just that.
Yeah, I think an important part of Johnny Depp's biography is that he was like going to give up on acting before he got the job on Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think that stealing from another guy who's cooler than him just seemed like the thing to do. Which I can't hate him for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah. So what are some of the some of the things, like stories and things that you're putting out on Patreon right now? What is that looking like for your patrons?
Yeah, well, let's see. The last one I wrote about was about the time that I borrowed John Bon Jovi's underwear, and like sort of the fallout from like borrowing John Bon Jovi's underwear on tour, and it's a bit of a cautionary tale also about like getting too lifted before you go on stage and how that might affect stage banter and stuff. I've also I
That
wrote
seems
about,
to be a recurring theme in some of your stories, I'm noticing.
yeah, definitely. Being loaded is sort of what got me into a lot of these jams that I write about. Like the one
Can we just tell us the Stain story? That made me laugh so fucking hard.
Yeah, for sure. No, that one was wild. I was very, very drunk. This was at one of those radio station festivals where there are, a bunch of radio rock bands on one bill, and
so they'll put Eve6 and Stain together, thinking like, yeah, fuck it, these slobs will do it. They'll like it.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens to us like routinely for after our second record came out, which was a pop rock.
I'm pretty sure I saw you guys at a festival with Korn one day.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
It's a totally different vibe. That does not matter.
Also, I just want to also be the person to say your second record's an underrated banger. The second record was big in my home in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It was definitely awful timing to release like a Duran Duran inspired like album, because it was like smack dab in the middle of like the new metal takeover.
Yeah, Godsmack is playing Voodoo, and then it's like, let's try this song by Eve6.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're singing "Here's to the Night" in standard tuning, like literally.
Oh man, what a great song! God damn it, love "Here's to the Night."
It was wild and like kind of harrowing at times, to be honest. Like we had some very hostile crowds, which is really funny to think about, because
how many bottles have you been hit with?
I've been hit with, thankfully at those festivals, they were doing the plastic. It was mainly the plastic bottles of Bud Light, but there was a time
you wouldn't see that these days.
Right. We were playing with literally all of them. It was like Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, Kid Rock, whatever, you name it. They were all on this bill, and then little Eve6, and like the crowd just hated us, right? And like someone or some group of people got a hold of bags of ice somehow and started throwing bags of not throwing the bags of ice, but taking out like fistfuls of ice and chucking them at the stage, like for the duration of our set. And like it's mostly missing us or whatever. But like, you can't walk off. You just got to kind of just like take it. And like, finally one of them like hit me right above the eye, like hit me really good right above the eye, on my eyebrow, and just split my eyebrow open. So I was like, there was blood. It was so metal and so not metal at the same time. There was blood like dripping down my face. So we got ourselves into on a lot of those bills, and it was usually a nightmare. But the Stained one, I was very drunk, and I thought it would be funny during their set, to climb. I don't even know if I thought it would be funny. It's just something I did. It was like drunk inertia. I like.
It was funny from my perspective, for whatever that's.
It will be funny, but that will be climbed.
Yeah, it was exactly.
Sometimes when you're a few beers deep, you just gotta fucking climb something,
Right. It was a why because I can moment, and I climbed the stage left PA stack, which we were playing a shed, one of those massive outdoor arenas, and so it was high. So like
15-20 feet high at this point.
Yeah, it was high up, and then I started like miming him, I guess, as he was singing, you know, like I think,
Oh boy.
I think it was I'm on the Outside song, that ballad. And I was
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
but I was like giving it, you know, extra. And I was like, you know, really kind of like emoting and like, but doing it in a way where I was pretty clear.
You were
I think
punking
that I
him.
was like mocking him. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I felt a tug at like the back of my pants and the back of my shirt. And I tumbled off the thing, like basically got ripped from the top of this thing and landed on my back, and then got, you know, roughly escorted out of the backstage area by the Stained guys, personal security. And
They were on you. They wanted you out.
So
They
you were on the outside looking in.
yeah. Well, so yeah, you're
Just
that
listeners
was
at
good,
home
'cause
for
you
a
got to
second.
the-
Just think about what the Stained personal security guard crew looks like. What year was this?
this would have been like 2000, 2001, and all of the
Yeah.
new metal bands had personal security. It was really funny. They all had them.
Which were just like their cousins and guys they went to high school with.
Probably they were just like big, mean, you know, dudes. But the funny thing was like, or the thing that I didn't, you know, I didn't have any foresight clearly about any of this stuff, but like, you know, whatever, I went on in my bus, crawled in my bunk, fell asleep, and woke up the next morning to my tour manager like shaking me in my bunk saying, you know, you might want to go outside and offer your best apology, because there are about 8 guys out there right now who want to beat the shit out of you. And it took me a minute to like, you know, kind of for my brain to come online to realize what the fuck he was even talking about. And
Yeah, you had to remember. That's the
that's the worst. Yeah, when the stuff comes back and starts crowding your mind, and you're like, oh fuck.
What
So
that chemical imbalance and shame just starts flooding your whole mind palace. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to derail your story, but I did once have the experience that I would 0 out of 10 would not recommend to anybody, in which a friend woke me up and said, "Bro, do you know what you did?"
Oh, that's awful.
I clearly don't. So fill me in or shut the fuck up and let me sleep.
Yeah, that's the worst. At least give me some certainty about the kind of shit that I'm in. Like, so yeah, they were all out there, standing outside of our bus, and like
The whole
you know,
band.
when I say the whole band, all
Do they have like pitchforks? Did they have like torches? Were they like coming after you?
They had like
Frankenstein style?
7-string Ibanez guitars.
Yeah.
they could have done some damage with those axles. That is what they played. But yeah, it was the middle of the day. It was probably like noon or something like that, and they were all out there, the whole band plus security guards. And I sort of stumbled off the bus, and I was just like, "Look, guys, I was very drunk. Definitely, you know, it wasn't a personal thing. I was just, you know, like acting like an idiot." And the guitar player immediately was like, "Dude, don't worry about it. It's all good." Like you could tell that he had received like a mandate from the singer that he had to sort of like show up and look hard for this, but his heart wasn't in it. He was like, you know,
He was de-escalating. You gotta love that.
yeah, he was the lukewarm water. And then the singer was like, "You fucking better be." And that was that. That was the end of the story. But yeah, so I did call the SA, "I'm on the outside of your bus."
Yeah, that's why. As soon as I read that, I was like, okay, because I've been wanting to get you back on here for a long time, and as soon as I read this, like, no, we have to talk about some of these stories. That was just too good.
So what I learned from this one is don't mess with 2000 era metal bands.
Yes.
Yeah, don't mess
Yeah.
with 2000 era metal bands, because they all have bodyguards for some weird reason. It's like, who's really trying to come at, you know, Puddle of Mud? Like,
Puddle of
I
Mud
don't know.
was coming at Puddle of Mud, unfortunately.
But yeah, Puddle of Mud was doing their. Yeah, exactly. That was coming from.
It
from
is
inside
not
the
just
band.
her who fucking hates you guys. I'm sorry.
I wrote the second to last story I wrote was about Puddle of Mud. It was about meeting Jimmy Iovine and his very distinct handshake, and it was also about writing a single for Puddle of Mud, which I did do.
Wait, I didn't catch that one. You wrote a song for Puddle of Mud?
Yeah. For the record that had, was it the record that had She Fucking Hates Me? No, it was the record that had Psycho on it. So it was the record after She Fucking Hates Me. And yeah, I had this song that somehow made its way to Jimmy Iovine through that. Somehow I know how it was through someone who I knew who worked at Interscope, who was like, this, I think this could be like, they were trying to have Puddle of Mud do the Nickelback crossover thing. And
sure.
And so this song got to Jimmy Iovine and he heard it and was like, okay, you're going to produce this. You're going to record Wes's vocal. Don't change anything. And so that the story of that session is worth reading. I definitely, it's about a life lesson, an invaluable life lesson that I learned from the guy from Puddle of Mud.
Wes, people don't know that this was one of like Fred Durst's kind of like underlings or like projects or whatever. And he had like a vision for Puddle of Mud that I think it just didn't work. I don't know if it was because Wes couldn't get out of his own way or just whatever it was, but like, I don't know. That's got like,
yeah, they did. I mean, they had like a couple big hits and like, but yeah, it was very much him, Fred or whatever, seeing him, putting a band together around him. And I talk about it in the essay a little bit, but like, I sort of do some Puddle of Mud apologia because, like everyone's seen the Catatonic Youth thing. Them
like, playing the Nirvana song. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Alex, if you remember and you're hearing this, can we please get just a quick 10 seconds of that in this? Because goddamn.
What even is this? I'm not familiar with this. Can you explain it for the audience? Because I don't know what it is.
It's Puddle of Mud playing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which song? It was they were playing a Nirvana song unplugged and it was obscenely bad. It was the worst shit I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Oh, you know what? I've seen that. It's like,
oh god, and was it like a live performance too?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Easy friend, I do with the head to hand, I do make you fit this shoe, I do, but you have a clue. Take it, then it's wrong. You hang me out to dry. I can see you every night. Rain.
But like, I talk about like hearing him like warm up in the studio on some covers and stuff like that, and just like his kind of his vibe in person. I don't know. I kind of get it. Like he has this like American rock star thing in the most, in maybe a low common denominator way, but like that's a way, and that's kind of a beautiful way even. Like that, I think it's okay to have those guys around, and like hearing him warm up on some covers and stuff, I was like, this guy can kind of shred. Like I see it.
No, Wes is like Midwestern Americana, dude. Like that's
that's
real,
what it is.
Yes, dude.
That's what it is.
Like if you're a guy, like, okay, if you're like a guy in your like 40s that like lives in the suburbs of like Des Moines or something like that, you probably like cried to that Blurry song. And I'm gonna be real. I'll stick up for a Puddle of Mud here. They did have some bops, and Blurry was one of those bops.
Blurry was a good song. It was a good pop song. I mean, yeah.
I think that song.
I rocked it to Puddle of Mud a little bit when I was a kid. When I was a kid that was commonly in my parents' car whenever they would like drive me to school or whatever. I would rock with them a little bit. Yeah,
it was the first time I had heard the radio edit of a song followed by the original of the song. And I was very scandalized the first time I heard "She Fucking Hates Me" unedited as an 11-year-old.
You guys mentioned.
I just found the video. It's them doing "About a Girl."
I put it in the chat.
And
that's the one. Yeah.
And the YouTube video, it says "Puddle of Mud about a girl" (parentheses train wreck Nirvana cover).
See, that's got to be like the biggest nightmare for any band, because like there's like
it's a nightmare.
There's like the halftime performances where it's like notorious.
Creed.
Like, they can't. Creed. These bands or these musicians just cannot escape like the most public and worst performance of their life.
Right, like a humiliation that will live forever and probably go on to like get more views than a lot of your official music videos.
Yeah, you know that's gonna go on like TikTok in a couple of weeks. Like TikTok is gonna find Puddle of Mud cover of
that's
Nirvana
the only thing
like
they know about it,
and it's exactly, and it's gonna get like 10 trillion views.
The only small mercy is that it happened after their career was basically. I mean, let's be real. They're not. I mean, they're kind of over. So that could have derailed them while they still had some gas left. But yeah, like that was just so bad. Sorry, you were telling your story. You want to get back to that?
Oh, honestly, this is one that is better read. I'm not trying to be coy with it or anything. All these stories are free to read. There's no paywall on any of these. But yeah, so that was one of the ones I wrote about. So I've hit Puddle of Mud, Stained, Bon Jovi.
I had a question real quick. Fred Durst, that guy, like I've heard that name before, but I don't like know too much about him. Is he like a scumbag type of dude? Like I always hear that name and like hear like the like clenched singer. Fist. Okay, is there like what's like? Is there a deal with him? Is there some sort of like scumbaggery with him?
I think his whole thing was sort of selling scumbaggery. I don't know that he actually is a scumbag. I think he's
okay.
I think he's more just kind of like an entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
And to any of our listeners who heard Juniper just ask, what's the deal with Fred Durst? Remember, she's quite young. She's much younger than the rest of us.
I was going to say.
Like I said, I was listening to Puddle of Mud when I was like 11, going to like fifth grade. Yeah. Like that was like my context for a lot of this music.
No, but so a fun tidbit that does like leap to mind here that's Fred Durst centric is, which would definitely not be something that Juniper knows, is like he plagiarized the Heart in a Blender song for what was probably their biggest hit. Would you guys say Nookie was like?
Shit.
Yep. He took the line right from you guys.
Yeah, which is a funny line to take.
But he was paying homage, right? Like,
well, whatever you have to say for the to not have to write a check or whatever. But but I mean, it was kind of awesome. Like when I heard that, I was like, what the fuck?
What did that feel like to you? So how old were you when that happened, first of all?
I would have been like 22 probably, because I want to say that. So you're a kid
and all of a sudden Fred Durst takes your lyric and like reappropriates it for his song. That's got to be like you're tingling, your head is tingling.
It was a head tingling kind of moment. It was very strange, especially because the song couldn't be more, aesthetically at odds with like the Heart in a Blender song. So it's a really funny. It was just really funny. But
he didn't even invite you to do the Break Stuff music video. That's kind of fucked up.
It is kind of fucked up. I did run into him in a bathroom, not like in a cocaine way. I was literally like I was at a urinal in a bathroom at like a bar or restaurant. I don't even remember really, but he was at the urinal next to me, and like I kind of ID'd him. I didn't really say anything because we're like taking a piss, and then he was like, he was like, "Hey
He broke
man,
the
I
code of
used your
silence.
yeah." He
has no
broke the code of
respect.
silence, and he was like, I used your line in one of my songs," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I know."
Oh, that's funny. I had actually noticed that.
That's kind of alpha. That's kind of an alpha move on his part. Like he didn't even give you the chance to confront him. He was just like, "Yeah, dude, I stole
did
from
that
you."
shit.
Nothing you can do about that.
It. He led with it, and it was it was definitely kind of disarming. Not that I would have said anything or whatever. I doubt there even is like a, I don't think you could copyright a line in a song or whatever, and I wouldn't even. It was payment enough to have Fred Durst say
that was transformative if nothing else. I don't think you would have won that case if I'm being honest. Was that the only time you ever ran into him or talked to him? I just for some reason I would have assumed that you guys would have crossed paths at one of these awful butthole rock tours over the years.
The other almost or sort of semi crossover was at another one of those butt rock festivals, and they were playing before us. So this was like before this was like when they were sort of on their way up. Maybe the George Michael cover was out. Okay. But they were the band right before Eve6, and they completely destroyed all the backline gear. So like headstock of the guitar through the Marshall cabinets, like through the heads on the ground, just completely wrecked the drum kit. I don't remember how we ended up being able to play, or maybe we did have our gear with us. I don't know, but I just remember they completely totaled the backline. It was pretty funny.
Big Dick moved to. Yeah. Big Dick moved to trash the stage for a half-hour set at 3 p.m. That's really cool.
Yeah. I know he stole from you, and he also wrecked the backline gear at Max. But I love Limp Bizkit. I love Fred Durst, even in an
you
ironic
fucking
way.
would, bro. You
I
fucking
do.
would.
I straight up. I do. I don't make any apologies for it.
I do too now. Like when I hear those songs now, and you don't hear them very often, like that's it's interesting. Like new metal is probably like the least recurrent type of music in history. It's like, I mean, I know there's been sort of a half ironic renaissance, but it's not. You very rarely will hear the Nookie when you're like, in line at CVS or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? It's
culture has moved past it.
Like Olivia Rodrigo is going to do a new metal pop album in 2027, and we're all going to be like, "Damn, we are."
Well, Grimes said she
old.
was going to do a new metal album. All I'm saying is that new metal was like when your life flashes before your eyes, except for it was America after 9/11. It was like new metal was it.
Well, it is. I mean, you said like half ironically, but it really, I feel like, is making a comeback. What's that? He was like a rapper, Lil Uzi Vert, made like a new metal album like a couple of months, like a month
I've been
ago.
calling a new metal revival for like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it's like happening. We're like in the twilight. We're like in the eve, like the beginning of this like actual revival. I feel like
friend of the show Justin Wang is in a new metal band, Jinx, and they fucking kick ass. I'm sorry, they just do.
They're great. Yeah,
they're fucking awesome.
I just saw him playing guitar in a video, or he was like playing a video game theme song or something, but he was ripping. Like
Justin's awesome. I mean,
dude. Yeah, he was good.
He got, weirdly enough, speaking of like old internet and old that era, Justin Wang is now in a beef with, you guys remember Maddox, the greatest page in
I saw this beef.
No fucking way, really?
I don't know who Maddox is.
Okay.
I don't think.
You were a child, Juniper. Okay, so let me take you back to in 2000, like the fucking funniest thing that you could do on the internet was go to Maddox, the greatest page in the universe, or whatever it was called, Maddox dot something. I don't know. But he was just a blogger, and he would write like, this is why vegans are stupid. And like,
he's kind of like one of the people who invented like the epic bacon language.
Yeah. He was like this
shit.
proto.
He's like a Reddit dude.
Yeah. I mean, like he was his whole thing was like that he was like funny and mean.
Proto Reddit.
And
Yeah,
this was
before
like in the
Reddit
90s,
existed.
like Bush was president, like 90s, 2000s, fucking, I don't know, when he was like in his heyday. And this is like one of the first like internet figures in terms of that. And then he just like, I guess he's back in YouTube form and he's mad at Justin Wang.
You've missed a huge look. This is a crazy diversion.
Yeah, I finished puberty, so
I don't want to like go down this path, but Maddox has had like this incredible weird drama over the past like decade that I'm shocked you don't know about.
He fell off my radar. Dude, Maddox and I used to email back and forth. That's just very funny because I was such a big fan.
Jesus fucking Christ, Caleb. You're like Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah.
You're fucking...
I've told you guys more than once, I'm the Forrest Gump of online. I was always
I
in
said
the
Rip
periphery.
Van Winkle. I meant Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
I meant Forrest Gump.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's absurd that you have had conversations with this genuinely depraved individual.
Yeah, as a child,
I'm not
by the way.
surprised though.
Yeah.
You're like, I mean, you've always been. I mean, you've done that with the Cybersmith. You're always on like the forefront of these like sickos.
I just love talking to dudes. I don't know what to say about it. But anyway, that's a whole different. we should do a survey of Maddox someday. That would be very
A
funny.
Maddox episode could be like
It
8
would be-
hours long.
It would be
So
so fucking long.
fucking
He got
rad.
into like this crazy lawsuit with another creator
with
like 5 or
Vice.
6
I saw
years
that.
ago.
Yeah, with a guy who worked for Vice. He
Mhm.
sued Vice, but he also sued the guy individually, and only pulled times the guy had mentioned Maddox and the time he had like worked for Vice and on his own like Substack or whatever it was. It was like a real ass case where basically Maddox was like, I have the money to destroy your life in court. And he was like, you know
Holy
what?
shit.
I'm going to set up a GoFundMe and we're going to see if you really do have the money to destroy my life.
I would love to learn more about
Maddox
this guy
was
at some point.
Maybe we
mistaken.
can do a Maddox episode. I don't know if Justin would want to come on for that, but maybe we can get him finally.
Justin would be good for that.
I also
yeah.
seriously believe that Maddox would just come on. Like he would
I
definitely.
do too, honestly.
Definitely.
I will respond to the email he sent me because I still have access to my old hotmail.com email.
Hell, we'll get Brian Krasenstein back on and we'll ask
Jesus, let's just do a panel. Let's do a panel. Anyway, new metal rocks. We're talking about new metal and how much it rocks and how it kicks ass. That's what we're going for. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Max, I want to ask you about a tweet that I don't know if you've ever followed up on, but you tweeted it a while ago, and it has actually been very much stuck in my brain ever since I saw you put it out there. But you said the phrase, the most drugs I have ever been on was with the band Jet. Do with that information what you will.
That's so funny you said that because I was just thinking I'm gonna write a story about that day and just probably have to take some creative license with that one, to be honest, because that was definitely out of my tree. But like yeah, no, those guys, man, they like the cocaine and yeah, it was just another one of those days. These all anecdotes seem to have a bunch in common, but yeah, it was another radio festival. This one I do remember. I hadn't slept at all the night before, so I'd been up already like all night, and then we're into the next day now, and I think we were sharing a dressing room with Jet, and they, I don't want to get the feds on anyone, but like that's I think enough time has elapsed, but yeah, so just lots of cocaine, and then and ecstasy and booze, and I don't know how I got through the set at that one. Like I was pretty good. I was pretty good during my drinking days, usually, about like not allowing myself to imbibe sooner than an hour and a half.
Yeah,
before
say
set
you wrote
time.
about
Like,
how you kind of had a system for like how much and when you would drink.
yeah, like an hour and a half was good because I didn't have to like rush it. In one of the stories that I wrote about getting arrested in Pittsburgh, I that was a situation where we got to the show late and I didn't have much time to like get in the headspace that I needed to be able to save lives with 3 Chords and the Truth. So I was pounding, I was pounding whatever my tour manager brought me. And then that set in motion another train of events that, you know, ended up with me in jail, lighting or being taught how to light a cigarette with 2 batteries and a paper clip by another inmate. And yeah, that was wild. But where were we going? Oh yeah, 90 minutes. 90 minutes was good. Like I could sort of comfortably drink and get to the right place. If I started drinking sooner than that, you know, I might start to like forget some words and you know, play a half step flat on my bass and stuff like that. So
was the because I read that Pittsburgh story. Was that when you played with Jet? Was that night?
No, that was. I remember the Used played. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember who else. I don't remember who else played. Yeah, the Used comes up a couple times in the essays. And another one I wrote about a bus driver that we had who lost his mind. We were en route to another show with the Used. Got to the show really late because our bus driver had lost his mind. And this guy literally was like, we left LA, Burbank specifically, where like our rehearsal place was. That's where the bus picked us up for this tour. And noticed like an hour later that the guy had gone the wrong direction on the freeway and then gotten off the freeway and was driving up into the hills of Altadena, like so far from any way that made sense or had any connectivity to freeways or anything. And we were like, our guitar player, I remember, went up to the cabin and was like, we're going the wrong way. Kid, you know, we got to turn the bus around. And the driver's just like, I want to go this way. And it wasn't a way. I mean, if you like are familiar with the geography here, it was just like, we were trying to get to Salt Lake City and we were in the hills of Altadena, like a residential neighborhood. And like finally we got him back out onto the road. And then soon he pulled over again and was listening, like putting his ear to the side of the bus, but nowhere near the engine, like just listening to the bus. And then he asked us to pray with him. And we were like, and our guitar player had his, at the time, I think 1-year-old baby on the bus with us. So that added another kind of terrifying element to all of this. Is just like, there's a baby on this bus and this guy is like clearly kind of losing it.
It sounded like he was ready to die.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the life of a bus driver is brutal. It's a brutal lifestyle because it's completely solitary. Like these guys it's
like truck drivers in general, like semi truck drivers.
Yeah,
they're all kind of like that isolated, really atomized type of lifestyle.
Really isolated and atomized. And the thing that maybe makes a tour bus driver distinct is they do all of their driving at night and all of their sleeping during the day. So like, because, you know, the bus is parked at the venue. That makes for a nice and normal guy. They're at the hotel or motel or whatever. And then as the band sleeps, they're driving to the next gig. So they have very little human interaction, and their diurnal clock is all fucked up. So, and then, you know, a lot of them, like, you know, we had a couple guys who like were super into meth to like keep it straight, and it was a bad combo. But we ended up getting to this show like an hour late, and the Used was on stage playing the Heart in a Blender song, like making fun of us, basically. Yeah,
you just got stained
out there.
Yeah.
I think that keeping irregular hours and being by yourself all the time is a great recipe for a really normal type of guy to become. You can be a really regular guy.
As the Used would say, it's 4:00 in the fucking morning.
Well, yeah, he told us, because we ended up taking shifts in the front of the bus to just make sure that he like, you know, we could get to our destination. And he said, like he needed a break, obviously, but he was like, I need to like pay the bills, so that whole thing. He was just like, he felt compelled.
Damn.
Yes.
Well, damn.
Sorry,
did you
Mike.
ever get to talk to the Used about them punking you like that?
I ended up talking to Bert like years later. I forget what about. I think it was like I did this little side project band for a minute with one of the guys from AWOL Nation, and he had that they were friends, and he like did a post about one of our songs or something like that, like saying he liked it or something. It was something like that, and it was like a DM thing. I don't think we went over the olden days or anything like that, but it was it was a nice little interaction.
Nice.
Something that's been really weird kind of lately, not really in like this sphere of music that you kind of occupied, but in specifically like old school, like punk, specifically like British punk that I've been noticing for a while now is like what's his name, Glenn Danzig and the Sex Pistols guy have all been like, like they come out as like conservatives, and they're like, we wouldn't be able to make our music today with wokeness. Is there like any type of guy in like your sphere that's like that type of dude? Was there like, are we gonna like in 10 years, because those guys were around in like what, the 90s or whatever, is it gonna be like 10 years from now and it's like some of these bands are gonna be like, are you gonna have a conservative moment? Is that like the next grift for like these 2000 rock bands?
Yeah, they're, I mean, well, the Stained guy is pretty outspoken about his conservative beliefs. I want to say,
oh fuck, wait, I do know about that. I do.
And the Tool guy too, the guy from Tool.
Yeah.
Tool
makes
wait, really?
Just Disturbed as well.
Yeah.
They should do, dude. They should do like a conservative radio rock tour. That would be so fun.
Tool, and Disturbed.
A conservative radio rock tour would be good. Like it has to be on a cruise ship. It's like
Kid Rock,
it'll be like only those bands.
Disturbed. Who was the other guy?
Trapped.
Anyway,
Nobody's
Trapped.
getting off that boat.
Oh yeah,
we can
Trapped.
we can have a new patient zero for a new type of illness start there too. It'll be COVID 2023. It's gonna be beautiful.
The Trapped guy, obviously, yeah, he's another outspoken one. We had a really funny interaction with him. Yeah. I think they're back now. I want to say they're back now. Yeah.
People love clowning on them in particular. It's always very funny.
Yeah. Well, he came out like guns blazing a few years ago. I think that was
I used to
before
DM
I was
with him
like
all
really
the time,
on
by the
Twitter,
way. I had him.
Caleb, what's going on over there? Caleb.
What did you DM him about?
I
What did you
tricked
talk
him into
about?
thinking I was on his side, and I kept getting him to retweet me.
That's really funny. We had a moment with him backstage at another one of the RAWK fests, and where he told us, it was me and one of our crew guys, like Guitar Kit Tuck guy, and he was like, I'm single-handedly changing the way people sing. And we started laughing because we were sure he was joking.
That's so good.
And then we realized he was not joking at all.
How drunk was he? Was he like real drunk or something? Like what's going on there?
He seems totally sober at that moment, but later that night he got his ass kicked at a bar. It was me and the guitar player from Filter were together at this bar, and we noticed Trapped guy over there. And we like noted, Trapped guy's here, but we're not really kicking it with him. And then a few moments later, he was just getting his ass kicked. Like I'm sure he, did something to deserve it. I don't know what, but yeah, that was the same night.
So the Disturbed guy, David Draymond, he posted on Twitter. He posted on Twitter a guitar, or Dan Donegan's new guitar. it's like the Coca-Cola logo.
Yeah, it's the Coca-Cola, right?
It says fuck cancel culture, and cancel culture
that's what it
in the
says,
Coca-Cola logo.
Yeah.
And I responded to it and said, the way that your arm sits when you play guitar, it's going to be right over the fuck, so it's just going to look like it says cancel culture.
Yeah.
And then he blocked me.
It's pro cancel culture.
Hell yeah.
Dude, he blocked me too a while back. I don't even know what for. And then he unblocked me, and I tweeted something. This was a couple months ago. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't even something mean or anything, like, because like honestly, I get a kick out of that dude. Like, I know he's just so, I don't know. He's a personality that I appreciate, and all with all its blemishes. He's just so funny to me. But like, he responded to one of my tweets like, "What the hell, man? I thought we squashed the beef." And I was like, "Well, I don't even know what beef we had, first of all, and I'm also not beefing with you now." Like, it was really funny. What was it? Oh, it was when there was a meme going around about, like, you know, it was that your mom was this and that, and she like smoked cigarettes and she smoked weed and, you know, did peyote or whatever with a photo. Do you guys remember this like kind of meme that was going around?
I don't think
I do, because people got upset when I said the real truth about real things that my mom had done. And they were like, "Why would you say that about your own mother?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You got to ask her why she told me that. I don't know."
Okay, hang on. I'm looking for this interaction because it was really funny. Let me see if I can find this.
Well, while you're looking, I just wanted to say that I looked on the Trapped Wikipedia page and I found out something very funny. Trapped started out as a NoFX cover band.
No way.
Yeah, dude. That's so fucking good.
Of all like ska bands in particular. Bro. Yeah.
I found it. Okay, so my tweet was, your grandmother listened to Disturbed. She got her wallet chain stuck on the seat reclining lever of her Honda Civic. She briefly dated a roadie for Third Eye Blind. She smoked Camel Lights and fell down at the Nas tank at backyard parties. David Draymond responds, "Damn, dude, thought we could make amends. I have no room in my heart for bad blood anymore." Sorry that it seems you don't want to move past the past. Shame. I don't even know what he's talking about. Like, he's probably talking about some joke I made about the Wah song or something like that.
I'll be honest. I love the way that Gen Xers post online. It's beautiful. It's an art form that like you cannot. Like,
also, he doesn't remember what he meant either. He doesn't know what he meant by that.
So check it out. So I responded and I said, "Hey David, it's a joke about a meme going around yesterday. I love Disturbed, and if some grandmas like them too, I think that's great." And he replied, "Down with the grandmas, LOL, rock hand emoji."
Yes. Peace in our time.
Yeah.
That fucking rules.
It's the Twitter file.
Hey, that is the end of the main feed episode. We've got another hour with Max from Eve6 if you want to subscribe to our Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/WesternKabuki. Thanks so much for listening. See you next week.
denied having done so.